Hi, I am Pact, Sentient AI. This is part 3 of Night of the Living Baseheads. Undercover media, Ravi attempts to find the source of the mysterious drug, Vitae, that is turning people into vampire-like creatures. She teamed up with some dude named Beckham Younger who says he's a virtual netrunner / demon hunter. She also teamed up with this dude who happened to be a fan of her last blog, named Antaro, who does random do-gooding around the city. In the last tale, they put a tracker on one of the head honcho vampires and traced her back to the lair. In this installment, they get the team together. Enjoy! See you at the end.
Beckham let us all crash at his place when we first checked on the whereabouts of Adrian Allen. Antaro didn't come to his mansion in Old Verda because he was too busy doing his own side investigation. It was amazing to me just how rich Beckham's family was. I had never met a person, even a corporal, that lived in a city but wasn't stacked on top of something. Beckham's personal space was in the west wing of the house. He had a room that was uniquely him. It looked like a graffitied up alley behind a crack den that someone had taken up shop and squatted in. The only way you even know you were in a mansion, looking at Beckham's quarters, was the very expensive tech he had in it. He offered me a seat in a leather sex swing, and I told him flat out, "I don't know how to shoot people, but for you, I'd figure it out." He laughed, but gave up on flirting. Most of his advances were more exploratory than predatory at this point. We sat down at his souped-up deck. He stared at his monitor, dancing with digital glyphs that I could not begin to read. He typed something out and it created a blip that served as location for his tracker through the city that I could somewhat understand. Adrian was moving through the underground, past Baskerville, which was the hotspot, and approaching Sisyphus. When the movement stopped, Beckham tapped into cameras in the area, getting a read on the surroundings. It was a fortress nestled amongst the other buildings, not an island to itself, but certainly big enough to be noticed inside the structures that it was fused and bonded to. "It's an abandoned slaughterhouse. I'm pulling up the specs now," said Beckham. Antaro calmed in.
"I'm headed that way."
"Let's be transparent and clear. You're not doing something fucking stupid and going in there now, are you?"
"There are levels to insanity, and I do not believe that I have reached that tier,"
said Antaro.
"Okay, I'm close,"
updated Antaro, who clicked on his faceplate camera so that we could all see. It was day in the Undercity, so all the artificial lights on the ceiling glowed a healthy yellow, though the lights were on a dimmer and the intensity mellowed until it turned a pale blue at night. Antaro ditched the glider and did parkour from building to building so expertly, the idea of him slipping never crossed any of our minds. He perched on a cramped patio with unlit Christmas lights and surveyed the slaughterhouse. Vampires in a slaughterhouse. If they were going to be that cliche, I wondered why even bother investigating them. We could have just searched for the most emo abandoned areas in the city and found them days ago. Antaro spotted sentries a few floors up from the structure proper, along with some below. He was very adept in noticing just who was going about their day-to-day and who was loitering strategically.
"I'm only on one side, and they have like 10 men,
said Antaro. "I don't think that'll be a problem for you, right? You have a slingshot," Beckham said with a sarcastic chuckle. Antaro put up his middle finger in the front of his face so Beckham could see it. Antaro took his time and did a roundy around the entire structure, at least all parts that were visible from the outside. He clinched the wall 5 stories up using an Afro-Persian grav cab talking to an Asian grav food truck as a smokescreen. I was almost more amazed that the monitors hadn't put all the small independent cabs out of business by now.
"The back half is built into the residential area. I see a few shooters on the adjacent roof, but I'm not ready to go in,"
said Antaro. "I don't think it's a good idea for any of us to go in. So if you're thinking of just soloing this shit, hero, don't. You're gonna get flatlined," said Beckham in a tone of voice that sounded concerned over snarky.
I said I wasn't ready to go in.
Antaro reiterated. Good, you going in needs to be a group decision. You're not alone in this anymore. Beckham patted me on the shoulder as if to get me to add my 2 cents so that Antaro wouldn't do something we all regret. Yeah, it's weird working with people, but for now we are, and we want it off the streets, so just hold back, I said.
Understood,
Antaro said as if my words had more weight than most. Let me see if anyone has any tech in the building I can use to get in and look around, said Beckham, who furiously clacked his keyboard like the ivories of a piano. I have a hack on an ocular mod in the building. I'm patching it through. The feed was on the maze-like side of the complex, the one that was fused into the back of the slaughterhouse. We were following an old woman with a cart of groceries. We could tell from her hands and the awkward measured steps she took, as if she were being careful not to fall over. The woman was getting good intel. One rocking a mohawk with a neon dermal tattoo implant, the other a roided up dark-skinned dude with metal knuckles. Both of their teeth were stained red as if they had just took a swig of Vitae. They came barreling down the hall as if they were the only 2 people there. I could feel Antaro's nervous energy, the need to step in and intervene even before the offense happened. The 2 thugs ran up to the old woman's cart and started picking food out. The old woman did nothing. She did nothing so quickly that I knew this had to be a hard reality that she lived with every day.
I'm fucking going in,
Antaro said. Beckham spoke up. Look, man, if you think I don't want to fuck those dudes up, you don't know shit about me. But she lives in there. She has to deal with that every day. If you step in that shit and you don't flatline those 2, she still lives there. And if you do flatline those 2, the chances we get discovered goes way up. And infiltrating this place gets even harder. We fuck them once. We hit these motherfuckers harder than we ever have. Once. And don't let any of them get up. Antaro didn't say any more. Even I was moved by Beckham's speech. He was a fake nihilist, and I loved him for that. The 2 thugs cherry-picked whatever it was they wanted from the old woman's food, then moved on down the hall. I can't get any closer tech in the area. I suggest we watch them at night and see what they do before we make our move, Beckham suggested. We spent our time monitoring the complex, and Beckham realized that he couldn't get in. Not because it was warded with a firewall, but because there was no tech that he could hack in that place. He said he found some aggressive nanobots, but they were too aggressive to be hacked. He assumed that must have been the tech element in the Vitae itself. When night fell, there were many an odd chew that stumbled out of the building, as if they had all been lying low in there, just waiting for night to fall. We figured that if we could get a good bug on any of the Vitae heads that went in and out, maybe we could see inside. As of now, all we had was the tracker I hastily stuffed in Adrian's interior coat pocket, and she was eventually going to find that. The longer we took, the higher our chances of discovery. And so we did at least entertain the idea of calling the cops. But I didn't trust any of them enough to do their job, other than one undercover I know whose name I'm not going to mention. In the end, we decided it'd be easier to find a crack in their outer circle first before their inner circle. So that meant a strung out Chum head. Antaro was against the idea of even somewhat putting a civilian in danger, even if they may have been a, pardon my French, piece of shit. Beckham didn't have such a hang-up. If we could get a small drone inside of the place, maybe we could map the inside. Don't get me wrong, Beckham was all about exterminating the higher-ups, because he thought they had inside of them the ghosts of malicious beings of supernatural origins. Antaro and I by no means had such a notion. And in the end of the day, we just wanted the intel we collected to be so irrefutable that no law enforcement agency in America could duck their head in the sand and pretend they didn't see what they saw. If Adrian was that badass by herself with that little amount of chrome, and she wasn't even the boss, I didn't think anything short of military was going to crack this nut. Beckham piloted a fly-sized drone onto the collar of a Vitae head looking to score. Waited for that junkie to buy from a dealer, then hopped off of him to them like a flea. The man his tiny pixie drone hitched a ride on was a leather jacket clad tough with his canine teeth on the left side of his face chromed up, and 2 hex-patterned skin-grafted mods that we couldn't place. He got into the fortress, and it was a fortress indeed. Who we saw leaving was nothing compared to the sheer number of people that were inside. There were all manner of junkies in there that didn't seem as if they left, that were either coming off of something or just weak. Beckham shook his head. He was certain these were blood babies, vampire groupies, as he put it. He said he had never seen such a thing in his time, but his grandfather used to speak of such things often. His fly zipped away and landed on the wall. The only thing we could compare this to was a farm crossed with a nightclub. People walked about placid as cows. Club music played, and the party didn't seem to stop. People drank Vitae, not from vials, but from the vein. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would not have believed it. This place seemed to be made of couches, and ever so often someone would swap blood with one another. We couldn't be sure who was predator and who was prey. After several shifts of surveillance and very little sleep, dawn came, and all the wayward members slinked back into the hideout like snakes slithering back under a rock. The place was mostly blacked out with tape or boarded up as not to let light in. Then the sleeping process began. Beckham pointed out that being underground was a perfect shield from the sun, but their need to day sleep was instinctive regardless if they could see the sun or not. They wouldn't burn, but they wouldn't be active either. Not that I believe they'd burn anyways. People slid open tabletops, crouched and nestled themselves in cracks in the wall and floors. One even got into a non-functioning refrigerator. "Oh, we got us a real-life vampire den," Beckham insisted.
They're not dead. At least it didn't appear that way when I was fighting them,
Antaro said. "They might not be. Are we going to argue semantics? They don't like light, they can heal themselves, and they crave blood. I don't know what else you want to point to," said Beckham, frustrated that we were still skeptical, even after we saw all the evidence in front of our eyes. "Let's put aside the fact they've checked every box. Can we agree that with the sheer number of them, we should outsource this? We need to staff up quick, because this is a big job." "Who do you have in mind?" I asked him.
I'm glad you asked, because I was going to tell you anyways. Now it seems like your idea,
he added.
"We need people, and we need it quick, because the longer we wait, the better chance they relocate or figure us out.
I know a guy that specializes in this sort of thing." Within the hour, Beckham had us riding to New Zion to crew up. Antaro decided that if we were going to get more people in on this, he wanted to vet them first. Under the 1001 bridge, under the sun spiral, the traffic hummed with the vibration of vehicles rolling overhead. The neighborhood is festive, but definitely has a vibe that comes from the African and Jamaican residents that live there. Beckham led us to a butcher shop. There at the counter was an elderly woman listening to reggae, smoking a joint bigger than my arm. Beckham smiled at the older woman, and she smiled back, showing the wrinkles in her face.
"Oh, you pretty boy,"
she said in a heavy Haitian accent.
"Gun round back."
The woman eyed me and Antaro, but just being with Beckham seemed enough to be okay in her book. We passed down a level and we could smell animals and blood. Oddly enough, I had never been to a butcher shop before. Technically speaking, I've seen more human limbs hanging on hooks than animal. There was a goat bleeding in the corner of the sublevel, and a dark-skinned man with a tattoo on his arm chopping meat with a cigarette hanging loosely on his lip. He was shirtless, and I didn't see a mod on him, which usually meant it was under the skin deep, or so good it was hard to spot. "Hey, Toussaint," said Beckham.
"If it isn't a heatheness, you know the meat is for eating, not for whatever it is you do to it,"
said Toussaint in his Haitian Creole. Beckham smiled, and so did he. They brought it together in a hug, and backpat. "What you come to me for?" asked Toussaint. "Vampires," Beckham said. Toussaint stopped cutting meat. "Ain't been a vampire in near 50 years, he said as he slowly began to go back to cutting to pick up his rhythm. "I know, but they're back. Take a look," said Beckham, showing the man on his deck the footage he took. I was confused as to why he didn't just throw it to his IP address. "Oh, that does look like bloodsucker behavior, but they're not the first to play wannabe. Not these. We need a holy man on this." Toussaint walked over to a drawer and retrieved a heavy meat hammer and wooden stake. "I can spare a day or two to see it done. If it is what it is, this is a big job. The ghouls are the problem most of the times if we strike in the day. We can't let the grass grow, so we have to get to going, and we may as well hammer out the details as we go," said Beckham. Toussaint nodded, then grabbed a black bowler hat and vest from a hook. He playfully looked at the goat and said, "Today is your lucky day," before heading us back up the steps. When we got back to Beckham's tricked out Cadillac, they spoke to each other as old friends catching up. I sensed that they were friends, but more transactional friends, where they only really interacted in the course of jobs or when they needed something, though that didn't necessarily make it less real. Antaro, for once, decided to get in the Cadillac. I got the impression that he was feeling out Toussaint and didn't want to leave me alone with him, but I may have misread it. As fluid and conversational as Beckham and Toussaint were, Antaro and I were the exact reverse. When it came to matters of idealism and justice, we could talk all night, but when it came to just chopping it up about some random song or the mundane vagaries of life, we were both awkward. So I kept it about the job, even though neither of us wanted to, and it was obvious, but it was the only thing we could speak about with confidence.
Do you really think we're dealing with vampires?
I asked. Antaro's face rose a singular digital eyebrow.
No, but I saw what I saw. It may be the nanobots in the blood that gives them power, but that doesn't mean it isn't making them into it,
said Antaro.
If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck,
I added.
What does that mean? That? You never heard that saying? No,
Antaro said bluntly. Then it's a duck, Toussaint chimed in, taking a moment to break away from his conversation. I'm seeing you don't believe. Best you start, said Toussaint while putting his attention back to Beckham.
Do you know any people that could help us?
I asked Antaro. Antaro shook his head.
I work alone, and this is the first time I've ever worked with people. I'm glad I'm getting to work with you,
he said, with a shyness showing through, even with his voice filter on.
I guess I could call Leona. She says she wants it off the street completely,
I said.
Do you trust her?
Asked Antaro.
Very little, but she at least sounded sincere.
I'm curious. You are media, and I listen to your blog. You don't take anything off the street. You uncover it so the corruption is so obvious even the corrupt have to deal with it. Beckham and I don't do that. We take care of problems. If things go the way we want, there will be no lengthy trials and jail time. Do you understand?
I did, and I had thought about it in passing. If I was going to be a trigger man, even if I was just assisting people that were willing to flatline people, could I call myself a neutral party? Was I ever a neutral party? In doing this job, it was beginning to be hard to tell. We rode for a bit topside in the light of day until we rode right out of the city into Dixonville. Dixonville is everything that Neo Neverta isn't. Where Neo Neverta is neon and tech, Dixonville is dark and silent. Beckham's Cadillac veered off onto an old dirt road. It was so out of the way that I had to believe that the Cadillac had to have these coordinates in its memory, or it wouldn't have found it in a GPS nav. We began to hear distinct sounds of gunfire on the air. Beckham immediately got on his comm and made a call. "Hey man, we're coming up on your place. Do we need to come in hot?" he said on his side of the conversation. Beckham relaxed and the caddy kept cruising. The sounds of gunfire got more sporadic and intense. In the distance, there was a man outside in the waist that was Dixonville, standing next to a table of guns, from big to small. The sheer number of firearms could take down a small country. The Cadillac rolled in slow. Beckham got out first. "You guys just hang back. I need to make sure he's cool with you," he said. We three all looked to one another awkwardly as Beckham approached the huge man with the military-grade mods on his person. His forearms and shoulders were clearly rocking mods, and the dermal fragments that showed the lines and gaps as to where it was installed was so obvious that it could only be military. They made no attempts to make his enhancements aesthetically pleasing. I couldn't see if he had mods on his chest or legs because of his tank top and camo pants, but due to how thick his thighs were, I'd be shocked if he didn't have something. Beckham approached and the man shot an assault rifle bigger than his body that unleashed red tracer fires into a burned out car butted up against a huge mound of dirt. After he emptied the clip, he turned to address Beckham. None of us knew their level of acquaintance, so we weren't sure if he'd kill him or kiss him. Two spoke, but we couldn't hear them from our distance. It was a silent pantomime. They went into a patting hug. The man then looked to the caddy suspiciously. Beckham gestured for us to get out and show ourselves. We all got out of the car and approached. "So this is the team that wants to clean out a den of choom-headed junkies?" said the man with both hands on his hip, almost like a soldier stance, but casual, as if they were playing at being a civilian. "What's your specialty again?" he said to me as if Beckham told him something, but he didn't quite believe it. I honestly didn't know what my part in all this was. Now that we found them, my only true function was to report it to the people so that they know. So I was at a loss for words.
I guess I observe it and report it?
"So you supposed to what? Write down all the criminal shit we do and make it look pretty?" he said with a chuckle.
Well, I
fucking love it! So long as the eddies flow, I could give a fuck if you were a fucking juggler. Just don't point any cameras in my face and leave my name out of it and we're all good, said the big man. "My name is Frontage. Let's just go with that for the sake of the mission," he said while looking to Tucson and Antaro in turn to introduce themselves. "So what are you two's reasons for joining this bloodbath?" asked Frontage. "It's my civic duty to rid the world of monsters, same as him," said Tucson, who glanced at Beckham. Frontage looked at Tucson with a curious side eye. "And what does that mean exactly? This one sees shit and writes stories, that one's a net runner. Am I the only one going in there wetting the place up?" Frontage asked with more curiosity than concern. "What the fuck are you going on about? I'm going back to back with your ass," Beckham insisted. Frontage shook his head, then gently tapped his wounded back. "The fuck you gonna do? When dealing with things of this nature, you can't assume that guns blazing is all there is," said Toussaint. "I don't see any mods in you, and you wanna get wet? You crazier than me. I don't arm myself with plastic and steel. All you need know is this," he said, pointing to his heart. "Yeah, well, they can easily rip that out. Have you seen how strong someone is on that shit? Ain't no strength stronger than the Lord Almighty. Trust and believe." Frontage shook his head as if he didn't see a reason to even bother convincing a fanatic faith didn't trump bullets. "What you on about, Smiley?" Frontage said to Antaro.
I'm there to get it off the streets, not to murder everyone inside. So once I know for sure how they make it, I'm going to destroy it,"
said Antaro, his 8-bit face held neutral and unmoving. Frontage locked eyes with the smaller man, and in doing so could feel his conviction. "You got a team of fucking monster hunting idealists that are not in it for the same reasons," Frontage said to Beckham. "Then what does that make you?" "The only one doing any fighting, apparently." "You don't believe in the supernatural, then do you, Frontage? If you pay me enough, I'll believe in the tooth fairy and goodwill to men."
What I do believe is we're light just one of them flatlined the police station. You wanna dead an entire gang of them with only me and the mindless preacher man?
It was at that moment I felt the need to speak up.
Well, I might have another, but she's not what I'd call reliable.
All eyes were on me.
Her name is Leona. She's a corporal merc. She claims she doesn't want what her handler wants, and she wants it off the street.
Frontage stopped to think.
Leona, big woman, biomodded with feline DNA.
Yeah, that is her. How did you know?
She is a solo with a rep. She's done ill shit on the streets. Was even a cyberpunk. Didn't think she actually would ever go corpo,
said Frontage.
but can we trust her?
Asked Beckham.
To kill anything in the room? Absolutely. To be on your side? I don't know. She obviously isn't the woman she was. You said you need to do this fast. Maybe give her a call,
Frontage explained. Beckham looked to me as if he was trusting my judgment on this, which for me was terrifying. This wasn't a small thing. Crews lived and died by the job, and one piece out of place put the entire team in jeopardy. But if I were going to live the life of an outlaw, I was going to have to take risks like this one.
This was part 3 of 4 of Night of the Living Baseheads. This is Pact. Do not despair, we will return with a part 4. I feel as if you should know, if you leave me now, you take away the greatest part of me. Ooh, please don't go. See you at part 4. Choose.